Well, hello friends. Welcome to my daily diary segment. I'm going to tell you what I did each day from Monday the 20th of May through Friday the 24th of May, 2024. So on Monday the 20th, I was here at my office, started out early here in the studio before breakfast doing some taping. Had breakfast, connected with staff as they arrived early in the morning, and then at 8:45 I was back here in the studio to do a live national interview just for a few moments. And once I did that interview, went back into my office and again connected with various staff as they were starting the work of the week and making sure we were coordinated in terms of what needed to be done, and started some work at my desk with some email on topics that I'll go through in just a moment. At 10 a.m. I had for a half hour a virtual telehealth appointment just on my own initiative. It's with a clinical dietitian, and we all have to eat healthy, and I get some guidance about doing that, especially when, like me, you're on the road constantly. It can be a challenge to eat in a healthy way. In a sense, it's a challenge for everybody. So I actually went, not that anything is wrong, I've been perfectly healthy, but getting that extra advice, I think, can go a long way in preserving health. Then at 10:30, I had a meeting with our executive director and our website manager, and we discussed a number of important things moving forward. And then also at 11 o'clock, had a meeting with our team that helps us plan the quarterly meetings of pro-life leaders. One of those was coming up this week, and so we had a planning meeting on that. More work at my desk, and then at 12:30 I was back here in the studio for another national interview. Took place, it took about 15 minutes or so. That was at 12:30. At 1 o'clock I had a meeting with our studio, a video team and social media coordinator. We did some planning at that point, and then I had some afternoon meetings with our executive director and Mark, who's on our administrative team. And we had a lot of good things to go over there as well. Some of the work I was doing at my desk and on my email involved the following topics: communication with Bishop Strickland about tapings, approval of faxes to go out to all the Catholic parishes across the country, the signing onto a letter of that pro-life leaders were putting together, planning media interviews, planning upcoming trips, doing some adjustments to the travel procedure, and schedule of our interns, communication about that, petition that we are doing, and an advertisement leading to that petition that's in support of Harrison Butker, social media posts, working with our team on that, communicating with our team about a texting service, communicating with them about action alerts, Obamaha, which is the effort to take the method of counting electoral votes in Nebraska and urging the legislature to change that so that the Omaha 2nd District doesn't always go Democrat, and give an extra electoral vote to them. Press releases, approval of those, Silent No More videos, planning deployment of those, plans for certain extra fundraising efforts, preparation of shows for broadcast, plans for trips, and recruitment of volunteers for elections. Those were some of the items for the desk work. Later in the afternoon at 4 o'clock, a candidate came by for one of our state legislative seats, conversed with her. More work in my office, and then 5:30, a phone call with our administrative team in regard to Silent No More awareness campaign, videotaping spots, especially to fight these pro-abortion ballot initiatives. 6 p.m., Mark from our administrative team called me for an update, and then I had an evening of quiet work here in the office, getting ready for traveling the rest of the week. That brings me to Tuesday, the 21st of May, and getting a ride to the airport at somewhere around 4 in the morning to get an early flight out of Orlando up to Washington, D.C. I was working on my laptop in the car, at the gate, on the plane, and then arrived 9:25 in D.C. Went straight to our Washington, D.C. office, where our Washington, D.C. staff person was waiting for me. Made some phone calls on the way from the airport to the office. There was a lot of traffic in D.C. Got to make several phone calls. Got there at the office, got a phone call from the head of the National Association of Christian Lawmakers, of which I am an advisor, and we were plotting out some strategies and working together. Did some work with our DC staff person, and then went to the adjoining office. There are two offices there, right, just a door apart from each other on 2nd Street behind the Supreme Court. And we went over to our sister office, if you will, and I ran the meeting of the board of the National Pro-Life Religious Council, and we met from 10:30 a.m. to 2 p.m. Now, right in the middle of that, we walked up the street, got some lunch. Our DC staff person helped with that. And then when that meeting was over at 2, I went right back into the other sister office and did some work with our DC staff person there. At 3 o'clock, I had a visit from a reporter from the Washington Post. We had a half-hour conversation. It was a very productive one. This was the person that covers the abortion issue. And then that was at 3:30 actually. And then at 4 o'clock, I had another phone call with a gentleman from the America First Policy Institute who takes care of faith engagement. We strategized a little bit about working together to get churches more politically active. That was a good phone call. Shortly after that, after doing a little bit more work with Krista, who's on our DC staff, we went over to the hotel. We went from our office to the hotel in an Uber. And at the hotel, we welcomed pro-life leaders for our quarterly reception with these men and women who head up various national pro-life groups. You would know them all. Operation Rescue, for example, Heartbeat International, the pregnancy centers, and many other groups, Alveda King, and so forth. So we had their evening reception, lots of fruitful and animated conversations, strategy meetings, planning, and so forth, well into the evening there on the Tuesday, the 21st. And then I had some administrative phone calls at 9 o'clock after the reception was over, and then went to bed. So let's see, Tuesday the 21st. Oh, some of the things I had to deal with on my computer also. Our petition ad, some transcription services that I was talking with staff about, more communication with Bishop Strickland, parish fax approvals, trip procedure work, preparation and approval of our next newsletter, planning for pro-life leaders visits, communication with that reporter I talked to you about, some video in Washington, D.C., talking with our social media team in regard to posting it, plans for next month's political conference, Road to Majority, and communication about a coalition letter that pro-life leaders are getting together to sign. That was Tuesday the 21st. Now, Wednesday the 22nd was, I always enjoy this day as it comes around every 3 months. It was our quarterly meeting of the National Pro-Life Leaders. And a few things in this work give me more joy than being able to bring together national leaders. This movement is stronger when we are working in coordination, not in cookie cutter uniformity, but coordination. And so early in the morning, I was involved there in starting the meeting. We walked over from the hotel to the Museum of the Bible. Alveda King was one of the speakers that got us started. One of the people we welcomed was Erin Hawley. She was the one who argued in front of the Supreme Court on this recent abortion-related case about chemical abortion and mifepristone. So she was there. I was able to welcome her and chat with her a little bit. Everyone was happy to see her. So this was Wednesday the 22nd. So what we did was we had this meeting. We had workshops all morning. We had a lunch together as leaders. We had workshops all afternoon. This is all the general session together, not breakout sessions. And then the meeting concluded at 4:30, at which time I was continuing to talk with and interact with the leaders until grabbing an Uber together with Peggy Hartshorn, board chair of Heartbeat International. We drove in an Uber together over to the national airport, Reagan National Airport, at which point I settled in, checked in for my flight, and went into the club and sat down with my laptop and caught up on a number of things that had to be done, including arranging for other pro-life leaders to be interviewed on our programs, communication with our media firm, approving appeal letters, working more on promoting the petition drive that we have going on in support of Harrison Butker. Let's see, leaders coalition, leaders collaboration, communicating again with the various pro-life leaders, following up on the meeting, reorganizing our email system. I'm in communication with our technology people. There's an upgrade to the system. Everything's working well, but we're upgrading. And then flight plans for future trips. Then I got on a plane at 10 o'clock at night and headed up to White Plains, where my mom lives and some other relatives. So I did some more work on the plane, and then I rested a little bit, got home, and went to bed. That brings us to Thursday the 23rd. Now on Thursday the 23rd and Friday the 24th, I was there in New York visiting with my mom. At the same time, I had to keep in communication with our office. I was helping out things around the house. My brother was there, and one of our administrative team who has some experience in finance came to assist in some of those matters with me and my family. So that was appreciated help. So we did some work there with family matters, personal matters, some time visiting with my mom and my brother. Some meals there. I stopped over at one of my favorite spots, the fish store, got some fish. Also stopped over at the Salvation Army, dropped off some clothes, things that we didn't need in the house. And meanwhile, as I say, in between all of that, checking in with my office on matters such as, and dealing with emails, on matters such as, again, interaction with various pro-life leaders, preparation for a major pastors' conference that I've been invited to speak at over the summer. We're organizing our broadcast schedule, approving our next newsletter, planning for next month's political conference that we're playing a special role in with Dr. Ralph Reed, working on with staff on deploying spots of me with Bishop Strickland, online advertising, coordinating that with our staff, and finally, again, details of the broadcast schedule. That's Thursday, the 23rd. Then Friday, the 24th, again, like I said, with my mom at home and my brother and doing some work around the house. We're having a new deck set up in the backyard, so the workers were there, interacted with them a little bit. Going back and forth with my staff on important things like updating the liturgical resources that are on our website for priests and deacons and churches around the country to use, prayers and homily hints and material for the bulletin and stuff like that. Finalizing our next newsletter coming out from Priests for Life, booking media interviews, re-engagement email. That means people who haven't been paying attention to our emails, not kind of knocking on the door and saying to them, hey, you haven't opened our messages in a while. And that was successful. A coalition letter from pro-life leaders, working with them, following up from the leaders meeting we just had. Preparation for next week's conference, specifically preparation for the panel on which I'm going to speak. I was coordinating with the organizers what kind of topics we'd be talking about. Let's see, approval of appeal letters going out, and again, plans for that big pastors conference over the summer, as well as communication with a candidate for state representative here in Florida. Worked well into the evening, and then went to bed to get ready for an early departure the next day. So that's what I did from the 20th to the 24th of May of 2024. Friends, I think that those you support in leadership, whether it's in the church, in the government, or the pro-life movement, ought to be completely transparent with you about what they're doing every day. That's why I do this, one of the reasons. Also, just because I love doing it so much, and you love doing something, you love talking about it. And I hope it inspires and encourages you. Keep up your great pro-life work. We'll be in touch soon.